Have you been on a few interviews and you're noticing that nothing's happening, that you're not able to secure a role or position as a woman in leadership? Well, in this video, I want to share with you the top 3 mistakes that women in leadership tend to make when they are interviewing. And I want you to know that you do not want to make these mistakes. You cannot afford to make these mistakes. And these mistakes are issues I've seen over the past 20 plus years being a C-suite executive, a manager, and a director. I've seen women in leadership make these mistakes over and over again. So I want to make sure that I am sharing with you secrets that people don't talk about as it relates to interviewing to help you really go to that next level. Now, I will share with you that if you are in a place right now where perhaps you are interviewing for a role and you want to ace the interview, or perhaps you have your resume that needs a bit of work and you're not satisfied with the resume in terms of presenting it out to other people, or perhaps you may need some guidance just in terms of leadership, this is the perfect week for you. I have 3 slots left for one-on-one coaching clients this week, and if you are wanting to prepare for an interview and ace it, and have me to take a look at your resume and provide you with a really in-depth video review of your resume and provide you with some support, this is the best time for you to do it. This is going to definitely elevate your interviewing and your resume to that next level so that when you are applying for these roles as a woman in leadership, you are able to secure these positions very, very quickly. Because there's a lot of things going on in the job market right now, as many of us know. Now, I do want to mention for the individuals that are on the live today joining, thank you so much for being here today. Feel free to drop in the comments where you are joining from in the world today. I'll be happy to see that information. And if you have any questions, specifically as it relates to interviewing or resume, this is the video for you. I talk about a lot of different topics as it relates to women in leadership in terms of your executive presence, communication skills, and confidence, salary negotiations, all of that. But today I'm focusing specifically on interviewing and getting you ready for that next interview. Now, the top 3 mistakes that women in leadership make when they're interviewing for positions that you cannot afford to make. You cannot afford to make these mistakes. We'll start as follows. The very first mistake that women in leadership make is that they talk too much during their interview. What happens during the interview is that they'll say a lot of things and they'll pretty much over-explain what they're trying to say. So the best thing that I would recommend for you all to do is to make sure that when you are in an interview setting and you're trying to articulate your value and say what is the most concise and appropriate things to say, practice developing your stories. We talked about this a lot in previous interview preparation videos, that you want to practice your stories. And if you have seen that video or you want to learn more, this is an ideal time for you to subscribe to the channel. There's a lot of great information here as it relates to elevating you as a professional in your career. So we talked about the very first mistake that women in leadership make when they're interviewing, and that mistake is to over-explain or to talk a bit too much. So make your responses very concise, very articulate. Lean on the stories that you develop that we talk about. And if you need some help with preparing for your interview, then absolutely let me know. Then this will be able to help you speak more concisely so you don't have to worry about rambling and talking too much in your interview. So that's the first mistake that women need to not make when they are in their interview. Now, the second mistake that women make in their interview that you cannot afford to make is to not use the STAR method. Now, how many of you in the live today know what the STAR method is? Do you know what the STAR method is? If not, a lot of people know it as how interviewers ask you questions. However, I encourage you to put your responses in a STAR method format. Also, now STAR, to explain if you don't know, is situation for S. T is going to be the task, like what was actually done. A is the action, what took place, what did you actually do? And then R is the result. So when you are answering your questions in an interview setting, try to use a STAR approach. It's basically a way of you telling a story about a situation that happened. I'll give you an example. If you were working as a leader and there is a big project you're working on, and there is a conflict you try to resolve, and you wanted to make sure you had that person or this team in the right place, your story could say something like this. And this is just an example. I'm just completely just mentioning, just freestyle with you right now. So someone asked me, well, how did you manage a conflict with a coworker? This is a common question that comes up oftentimes in interviews. I would answer it as follows. This is my situation. Many years ago, I noticed that one of our coworkers was struggling with being on time. And one of the reasons why this was an issue is that we were actually working on a major task with our organization, and it required all of us to be at that heightened level to make sure that we were at a place where we were on time and we started the project on time so that we could finish up and we could end our day early. Now, what happened in this case is the individual that was late all the time continued to be late, and it would cause other people on the team to do a lot more work than they really needed to. What I decided to do as leader of the team is to schedule time, have a conversation with the coworker to see what was going on and see how we could potentially help her. Come to find out, she actually had some personal things happening where she had some issues with her vehicle and she couldn't make it on time, which is the reason why she struggled. And so once we had that conversation, she was able to get a couple things together, and she was able to place herself in a better situation where she came to work on time every single day because she had her transportation issues resolved. So I hope that you see what happens with STAR. So STAR is, the situation was what? We had someone that was late, that kept being late and was dragging all of us down on the project. And the next aspect is the task. I mentioned to you that there was a big project that we were working on, and all of us need to be there on time so we could finish early. The action that I took for this particular person was to help her and have a conversation, schedule time to do something about it and see what was going on. And what was the result? The result was that she was able to come to work on time and we're able to get everything done. That is what STAR means. A lot of people hear STAR and they get really intimidated by STAR. Well, STAR is just a way for you to show them that you are a superstar, right? You're a superstar and that you should be hired for this role. So instead of just depending on the interviewer to ask you questions in a STAR format, be that exceptional person that really stands out in the interview as a woman in leadership or in any role that you're in, and make sure that you give your stories in a STAR format. So that's number 2. That's the second strategy. So before I go further, let me say hello to everybody that has joined. All right. Hello. We have Feliciano present. Hello. Welcome. Glad you're here today. If you have any questions specifically as it relates to being able to do very well in your interviews, feel free to let me know. Ask any questions. I will respond to you and give you over 20 years worth of interviewing experience as a C-suite executive, a manager, and a director in a very short amount of time that will absolutely fast track you to do very well. Now, we've talked about 2 interview mistakes that are made in interview settings, and I want to go into the third, but for those of you who just joined, we just talked about the first interview mistake that women make in their interviews is to over-explain or to perhaps talk too much. So we talked a bit about what you can do to prevent that from happening. So if you missed it, watch the replay. The second one is to make sure that you use the STAR method, or make sure you use STAR. STAR is going to be the best way for you to answer those questions in a format that is going to be very relevant and very concise to express your expertise. Now, I'm going to go into the third top interview mistake that women in leadership make. And are you ready for it? This is the one that people make all the time. And this is a big one. So I hope you're ready for it. Okay. So if you're ready, put ready in the chat. Let me know that you're ready for this last one, because it's not going to be what you're expecting. I know it's not. It's not going to be what you're thinking I'm going to say. But it's going to be the beginning and the end of your resume. Have to be strong, and you have to close it like a leader and open it like a leader. A lot of times I notice people will lose the interviewers at the very beginning of the interview with the most famous question of all, which is, tell me about yourself. They will go into the chronological list. They will open their book of life, right? They will open their book of life and talk about, I started school at this time, I went to school here, I graduated here, and I worked here, and I did this, then I did this, and now I'm at this job. This is not the way you want to start. Tell me about yourself. And this is not the way you want to end it either in terms of the last question on your interview. Tell me about yourself as an opportunity for you to tell them why you are a star. Remember, we talked about star method. So you are a superstar. So you want to explain to them and show them why you are a superstar. And the best way for you to do this is to think about your accomplishments and look at the job description and look at what they are actually searching for in a candidate and put all that information together. Now, I know that this can be very challenging, and a lot of people struggle with this. So if you want some help in terms of how to really ace your interview and completely do a fantastic job with it and be that candidate of choice, then reach out to me. Send me an email at info@exciteexcellence.org, or you're welcome to direct message me on Instagram, LinkedIn. That's where I spend most of my time. Or send me a comment here in YouTube and just let me know and just say help. And I will help you with your interviewing and get you ready. But that is one of the mistakes that people make, especially women in leadership, because many of us are very accomplished. We've done a lot of things, and we are at a place where we kind of have to list what we've done, but I encourage you not to do that. Let's make it in the form of a story that showcases how amazing you are, because you are amazing, and how you really will benefit the organization. You want to use tell me about yourself toward the end too, and I'll give you a bonus as something to consider also. Most of the time, candidates or interviewers may ask you the question, why should we hire you? If they want to know more about you and really are interviewing a lot of candidates. What makes you stand out? So you want to use the information that you gathered from your tell me about yourself and bring that information to the end of your interview and talk about why you are amazing and why you'll be such a huge asset to this organization. Now, I will tell you, if you are able to incorporate and prevent yourself from making these 3 mistakes in your interviews as a woman in leadership that you simply cannot afford to make if you're trying to transition into another role, then you will put yourself as the candidate of choice and someone who definitely communicates at a higher level than your peers, which is the reason why you are subscribed to my channel, because this is where you are going to learn those very advanced communication style, techniques, strategies, all of the wonderful things that we are simply not taught in school, and this is the best place for you to learn it. So if this has been helpful to you, feel free to like the video and share it to a friend. Share it to someone else that is just as passionate about their journey on leadership as you are, and they have a big mission that they're trying to complete in this world, and they know that the very first thing that you have to master to make that big impact on the world is how you are communicating. This is a great place for them to learn. So for those of you who are just joining, welcome, welcome. In this very, very exciting video, I have shared with you the top 3 interview mistakes that women in leadership cannot afford to make. The first mistake was to talk too much or over-explain. You definitely don't want to do that. If you want some strategies in terms of how to prevent you from doing that, then watch the replay. The second mistake that women make in interviewing is to not use STAR method in their responses. Remember, I told you that STAR is a way for you to show that you are a superstar to the hiring manager that will show them how amazing you are. And the third mistake that women make in the interviews is to not make tell me about yourself and why they should hire you, to not set it up like a leader. You have to close it. You have to open it like a leader that will make you stand out. And we talked about some options that will help you do that as well. So you definitely want to watch the replay to get some more insight on how to do those specific things. As I mentioned to you before, if you are in the process of interviewing for a position right now, or perhaps you are wanting to get some support with your resume, this is the best week for you to do it. I have 3 slots open for one-on-one clients to help them be able to interview like a pro and to do very well. We do a very in-depth analysis of how you're speaking, how you're communicating. We practice interview questions, and I will make custom-made C-suite level executive questions just for you based on the job descriptions you're applying for that will help you to set yourself up as a excellent candidate. You can take a look at some of the reviews I have on my LinkedIn profile for interview preparation and even on my website as well. This is something that will automatically help you and help you be able to communicate at the higher level. I've helped many clients do it, and you can be one of those too. If you're really trying to take this next transition in your career seriously, I encourage you to get help, get guidance from people that have done it. I will tell you, one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they are at this phase in their career. So either you are at the beginning of your leadership journey, maybe you're in the middle of your leadership journey, or maybe you're more seasoned in your leadership journey. The biggest mistake that people make is that they put all this money into going to college and learning technical things in theory, but sometimes they struggle with being able to invest in themselves in terms of learning mistakes that people have made so that they don't make them. And being able to invest in yourself to fast track your success is something that's helped me personally on my journey when I was just starting out. You have to learn for somebody else's mistakes so that you don't make them. And a great way to do that is to let's work together. Let's talk about where you're at. I will be happy to share you my over 20 years of experience as a C-suite executive, a manager, a director, and a public speaker that will automatically help you to communicate at that higher level in your interviews, in your resumes, in your life, in your careers, in your businesses. Communication is where it all starts. So if you all have any questions for me specifically, please let me know in the comments below. I want to know from you, have you ever struggled with interviews? Is interviewing something that you are really excited about, or is interviewing something that you are really not too happy about? Let me know in the comments below. I want to know how you're feeling about interviewing. And if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. I'm here to support you. I will answer your questions if you leave them in the comments on the replay to provide you with some insight that will automatically help you to accelerate to that next level in your career. Feel free to take some time and take a look at some of the videos that I have on my channel. I have a lot of recorded videos that can help you as it relates to communication. And then I do have a lot of lives here that talk specifically about different communication techniques and strategies that will automatically set you up as that amazing person that communicates at a higher level than their peers. So I appreciate you all for being here today and spending a few moments out of your day with me on a Friday evening. I do have a couple videos I'm going to do here very soon. There was a request to do a video on Tell Me About Yourself. So I probably will do a recorded video on Tell Me About Yourself because I know people struggle with this. So I'm going to share with you what I tell my clients as it relates to Tell Me About Yourself so that you will be in that better place to answer that very, very important question at the beginning of your interview. And also I'm going to host some time where if you have, let's say, your profile or your executive summary or summary of yourself in your interview, if you want to put it in the comments below, I will take a look at it and provide you with some insight on some ways you can reword the language to make you sound amazing. So if that is something you're interested in, then put it in the comments below. Let me know. I know for sure I'm going to do the Tell Me About Yourself video. That's for sure because that was a request. And the live support workshop style, just let me know if it's something you're interested in and I'll make sure I host that event just for you. So if you have any other questions, let me know. And if you're at the place where you need some support as a woman in leadership, you need to develop your executive presence, you need to enhance your confidence, you need to master those elite and executive communication skills so that you can transition into the next phase of your career, or perhaps you just need to refine where you are because you see things are not the way that they used to be and you feel like you're losing your presence a bit, let me know. We'll have a conversation, we'll talk about it, and we'll get you on a fast track to being where you want to be. So if you have any questions, let me know, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next video, which will go into even more detail as it relates to getting you ready for your interview. So I'll see you soon. Bye for now.